What's up guys, and welcome back to another EVE Online video. Today I want to do something slightly different and do a discussion piece. So there's not going to be much action going on here. I'm just sat here in my golem currently. But basically, yeah, what I'm hoping to do today is talk about the Oz tank that streamed over the weekend, just past. Now, if you're not aware what the Oz tank is, it's the sort of brainchild of a pretty successful EVE Online streamer known as Oz. He's either Oz, the Oz, or if you actually want to find him on Twitch, he is Oz_Eve. If you're not sure who he is a very wealthy EVE Online player who generates primarily generates market trading content on Twitch and across YouTube, and I believe he also has audio files available as well. But I'll put all the links to his stuff and his video in the description below. But yeah, I wanted to talk today about an initiative that he has started called the Oz Tank. And just to clarify, I reached out to Oz after his live stream at the weekend to see if he'd be okay with me making a discussion piece, and he was all for it. So I'm delighted, and I'm happy to be doing that today. So, what is the Oz Tank? Basically, it's the same concept as the Shark Tank in the US, if you know what the Shark Tank is on TV, which I believe actually was first done in the UK, known as Dragon's Den. And basically, they are TV programs where a panel of mega-rich investors, I think there's 4 or 5 of them, basically have ideas pitched to them, have business proposals pitched to them by people looking for funding and for business expertise, and they then decide whether or not they're going to invest in that idea. Now on the TV, of course, the expectation is to make money. The investors want to make money, but for Oz and his fellow investors, the sole intention isn't to make money. They actually, at the description at the beginning, they all said they've got too much money. They are a collection of EVE trillionaires, and they sort of don't know what to do with it. And some of them potentially are losing a bit of interest in the game, and so are looking for new ways and creative ways to give back to the community, and also to sort of restart their engagement in the game. So, first and foremost, I thought it's a brilliant idea and a great concept, which is why I tuned in and watched the whole thing at the weekend. And why do I want to talk about it today? 2 reasons. First one is simple. I genuinely think it's fantastic content, and want to be able to support Oz in his endeavour here, and hope it picks up long term. I'm even working a little bit on an idea on a business proposal to submit for the next Oz Tank in a month's time. But also, number 2. One of the submissions, actually the final submission, led by GoldenCEO, who's actually one of the investors, I think is a really good idea, but it's going to need publicizing, and so I want to do what I can to help sort of publicize that idea and push through, and just get as much awareness and things for it as possible. So that's the purpose today. We've got the blessing of Oz, and so yeah. So I'll dive on in. But before I do so, part of trying to build awareness of, as I say, support Oz, but also build awareness of GoldenCEO's channel. We're going to give away 5 Varga scope syndication skins on this video, which look gorgeous. So, if you want to use them, I think they look fantastic. The scope syndication skins are specifically partner skins, so you can only get them either from the in-game market, I guess, if someone's selling, or from EVE partner giveaways. So we're going to do 5. If you fly a Varga, I think they look fantastic, but if you don't fly a Varga and don't think you will anytime soon, then there are buy orders in GTurf worth somewhere between 220 and 250 million for these at the moment. So definitely worth entering. And what I'm going to need you to do is, of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. But what I want is, please comment your favorite idea from this week's video, or Shark Tank video. So Shark Tank aired on the 29th or 3rd, 29th of July. Okay, so I need you to comment your favorite submission idea from Oz's stream on the 29th of July. If you haven't watched it yet, then go and do so, and then come back here and comment if you want to enter the giveaway. And obviously make sure your in-game name's in the comments so that I can reach out to you with your prize if you've won. Okay, so I'm going to jump in with first reason I loved the content, and I want to just do a little bit of a talk about what I enjoyed and also where I saw a couple of challenges. So if you're concerned, if you haven't watched it yet and you're concerned about spoilers and things, maybe stop here, go and watch the stream, and then come back. But basically, my first impressions. So the concept and the idea, I think, is brilliant, and that's why I watched it. My first impressions when we tuned in, and Oz introduced the concept and introduced the show to everyone, and then we got an introduction from the investors. Initially, I was a bit concerned. Like, Oz, of course, is throwing in quite a lot of enthusiasm. He's got a lot of passion behind the project and was excited about it, and I think he was taking it quite seriously. Now, I don't want to say the other investors weren't, but from their introduction, I was a little bit concerned that, it really is, I'm bored and I want to throw my money at something, which is fine motivation, but doesn't really support the long-standing concept that I think Oz is trying to build. If they don't engage much and they just invest in every idea that comes in, then what's the fun for the viewer? It was my concern there. And then we dived straight into the first submission, and for me personally, the first submission wasn't great, but that's because of the game style that I already play. So the first submission was a guy from a Wormhole Alliance. I think he might have already been part of TurboFeed or was just supported by TurboFeed, I'm not sure. But his idea was he wanted to make high-class wormholes available to new players, which, lovely concept. I fully support wanting to do that. What I didn't really understand is why despite his pitch, why he needed fairly serious investment from, I guess we'll just call them the investors. I don't really want to call them the Aussies. Whereas in the TV programs they're called the Sharks and the Dragons. But anyway, that's a side point. He needed fairly substantial sums of money from Oz and his fellow investors to get his idea off the ground. And, that's fine. But he's just, if he's going to... Basically, he's just trying to generate a play style. It is giving a service. It's trying to get new players into wormhole space and expand wormhole space. But part of his idea was he's already backed by a large, high-class wormhole alliance. He's backed by TurboFeed, who have the resources to do this already. They are willing to defend the space. They're willing to provide assets and resources and things. So I really didn't understand where the investment was needed. And now this, of course, is just this. Having watched the conversation in chat and saw the enthusiasm from some of the investors, this is only an opinion I held, and a few of my courtmates who also live in Wormhole with me shared the same opinion, but it wasn't the opinion of the wider community. That idea was voted through overwhelmingly, and that's fine. That's great. part of the show. But it didn't leave me as a wormholer who's already doing maybe 80% of what that guy had suggested, but just through my own money and energy. I didn't really see why he needed the Oz tank to do what he wanted to do. I just, for comparison, if you guys don't know, like I live in a C4 wormhole, so not quite high class but mid class C4 wormhole, and we are very, very new player friendly. We're always recruiting. There is no lower limit on skill points to join our corporation, and we do what we can to help and support and provide assets. And so, because that's just my playstyle anyway, I was then watching that like I don't really know what's new, what's innovative, what's giving back that this concept's got. But the community thought it was worth investing in, so awesome. But yeah, at that point I was a little bit concerned. I was like, okay, the investors, other than Oz, are just going to throw their money at everything. They're not that engaged properly with the process. And that was reinforced by I thought the idea was just regular playstyle, so they've just thrown their money at someone who's just going to play the game normally. So I stuck with it. I was thinking about turning it off, but I stuck with it, and boy, am I glad I did. I'm not going to go into deep detail on the other ideas because, just go and watch them. Thought they were fantastic, but included things like a New Eden cleanup program where people needed investment to put together a small group to go and clean up all the dead sticks across JSpace specifically, but maybe into nullsec and things. There was a music competition idea, which I'm going to touch back on in a second. Actually, I'll touch on it now. So that's the kind of diversity we were getting. Like someone wanted to just introduce new music into EVE Online and wanted to incentivize people to generate new music. There's this space cleanup program and stuff. And so that's the kind of range, and that was great, and that got me quite excited. And also for these later ideas, I think the investors had warmed up a little bit and started asking some really insightful questions. Considering it's to do with parts of the game that some of them have never been involved with, they were asking some really insightful questions, really challenging the ideas, making sure that the individuals had fleshed out how it was going to contribute to the community, how they were going to sort of make it work, and really sort of got to the bottom of some of it, which I was really actually quite impressed to see, and is one of the things that I want to submit an idea, because I'm confident that I will hopefully be provided with a level of support that more than just cash from the investors. They might offer some alternative suggestions, give a alternative suggestions, give advice on how things might work, just like the investors in Shark Tank and Dragon's Den. So that was exciting for me. I was pleased. One word of warning, though, is potentially if the investors don't fully understand your viewpoint of your idea and maybe interpret it a slightly different way, but find it exciting, then there's a possibility that they'll take your idea, give you the money for it, but then sort of turn it into whatever they thought it was and got excited about and just run with it. And then after 10 minutes you've submitted your idea, got your funding, but actually it turns out you've now got to manage a project which is a little bit different to what you'd originally envisioned. That's my opinion of what happened with the music competition. I'd love to hear if you guys thought the same thing. But either way, should be exciting times. And then just to loop back finally to my one last concern, is actually to do with the longevity of the program, because I enjoyed it so much, because I think it's got a lot of purpose. My concern is that that the investors are going to run out of ISK to be able to keep funding it. Like, there's no question they have a lot of cash. They are some of the richest players in the game, but we did hear from one of the investors that he averages about 80 to 100 billion profit a month, which obviously is insane money. But if every month they're going to commit to a whole load of new investments and they're not expecting to make a return on investment on many of them, then after 8, 10, 12 months, maybe less of course, if they're willing to put in a lot of upfront investment, then they might be out of cash. that that may or may not be a concern, because they weren't really clear on the state of sort of ongoing investment. So, if you need 50 billion as a startup feed, and then maybe they need to pump in sort of like 5 billion a month to keep things ticking over. That wasn't really covered. But if they enter into too many of those, then I'm concerned that these incredibly wealthy players will run out of cash. And not just because of the amount of financial outlay they'll have from these, but also if they find ideas that they're passionate about and want to get involved in and push in, then their current revenue streams, like the market trading, for example, might take a hit. Which, I mean, I'm delighted for them if that happens. If they're losing passion for the game because they've got these massive numbers and aren't finding much to do with it, then that's awesome if they can ignite that passion. But it can obviously potentially knock on their revenue stream if they're not playing with the markets or doing what makes them so much money so regularly. So that's my point one. That I just wanted to share my views on OzTank and sort of get it out there. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about, as mentioned, was GoldenCEO. One of the investors pitched an idea to his fellow investors that I really like and want to help raise awareness for. So basically, again, go watch it. But basically, his idea is that he wants to challenge Tranquility Trading company and their market monopoly in high sec. Which, in the wake of the removal of their keep stars and the ability to anchor extra large structures in high sec, this now does appear to be feasible, but only if you've got incredible sums of money. And now you might be wondering, okay, why do you want to do this? And this is where I agree with Golden. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of high sec content, and so the high sec markets, people selling their mission running goods, people selling Plex or Injectors, general high sec content funding nullsec activities through pretty much zero effort of their own, right? They, TTC just set up their markets, make a very small percentage on every transaction, but that pulls in trillions a month because of the amount of transactions in Jita. We're genuinely sending trillions a month down to nullsec, and they don't have to do anything for that. They just occasionally pay high sec mercenary groups to come through and clear away any competition, and people give up because it's too expensive to drop your own market and immediately have it taken down by Black Flag or someone similar. Now, Golden is aware of this, of course. He's got a plan, and he's now got a group of people with an awful lot of money in high sec, and he's trying to mobilize them to push against that system. And his idea is that he's just basically going to keep dropping a new structure over and over and over and over again, watch it get taken down, but drop another one, all balancing the timers so that there's always a market alternative to the Tranquility Trading Tower. Now, of course, if that market is always being taken down and always being removed and things, we're not going to see high volume goods moved. It's basically going to be a market for trading of Plex and skill injectors, the really high value goods that also are going to be protected by your Plex wallet, for example. But that's also where a huge amount of the tax traded on markets comes from, is from the Plex and from the skill injectors. So if we're able to take that revenue away from Tranquility Trading, then eventually we might end up in a situation where they give up and take down their tower. Now, I've probably not done a great job of explaining it, so please go and watch the video and go to if you just want to hear about GoldenCEO's idea. He was the final pitch, but yeah, basically this is what I want to sort of drum up some more interest, because the only way this is going to be worthwhile, and this is one of the issues that Oz expressed, is okay, we can do this, right? They can afford to place a new structure every 48 hours in high sec for a year, no problem. Between them, they can afford that. But to what end? Like, anyone who generally just uses the market and isn't going to know this is happening, and is just going to go to the stable market, which in this case would probably be Tranquility Trading, and just go trade over there. And so we don't. So then there's nothing to be gained by just dropping structures over and over and over again and spending all that money. I've just realised that I've done Golden a disservice, and I should have mentioned right at the beginning. His vision and belief is that everyone in EVE Online should have access to a free market, or essentially a free market. Yeah, that's not strictly possible in EVE Online, because at the moment there's a minimum sales tax of 0.5%, which goes to CCP. That is just taken out of the game. But other than that, it's free. Like the market owner can choose to charge 0.0% broker's fee. And that's what Golden wants to do. He believes everyone should have access to a free market. Now, the null blocks they started that as well when they anchored the most recent Tranquility Trading Tower. They did set the tax at 0.0, but they just announced it's going up to 0.1%, which again sounds very, very small, and for every individual transaction it is tiny. But once they're back to having a monopoly on the market, there's nothing stopping them raising that again and again and again. And we obviously firmly believe that they will as well. So the intention from Golden is to never make any money off this. It's purely an ISK sink for him. He's going to lose a serious amount of ISK through this endeavor, but he feels so strongly enough about it, and the principle strongly enough about it, to spend a big chunk of his vast fortune trying to maintain a free market for everyone. So, yes, I think I've made that clear. If I haven't, as I said, please go and watch it anyway. The purpose of this video is so that you can, anyone that is a part of my channel but hasn't seen Oz yet, will head over there and watch. I'm really excited for the second episode in a month's time. As I said, I probably will submit an idea, which I might talk about after I've submitted that idea. But yes, so yeah, a little bit different this video. I know I've just been sat here in my golem not doing anything to look at. Please comment what you've thought about this format, listening to me just ramble on and not actually watch anything. Yeah, interested to hear what you guys think about the format. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will make sure you enter the giveaway. Get over to Oz's channel. Everything's linked in the description. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Cheers.